All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Hey. I think today's Hey. We left off. We're at the second of the wide lines towards the top, not the very wide lines at the bottom. And we are in middle of a few days stretch of Agada to Gemara. So kind of where are we? So we heard the story really starting out even yesterday, but really the day before. Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon, he got the enviable job of calling out thieves to be killed. He felt bad about it. He never had proper Yishuv Hadas, even after he had this whole medical procedure, the whole thing, and he took upon himself Yisurim. After he died, Rebbe went over to his wife, and he thought maybe this should be good shidduch, and she basically said, "Listen, my husband took upon himself Yisurim," and then obviously it was very clear to Rebbe that was a very good thing to take upon yourself Yisurim. So again, we are second wide line. Third word on the line is Amar Rebbe. So Amar Rebbe. So Rebbe hears the story and he says Chavivin Yisurim, and it must be that taking upon yourself Yisurim is a good thing. So Kabbalah Placer Shni, he took upon himself 13 years of Yisurim. Shis B'tzmirta B'sheva B'tzparna. 6 of the years he took upon himself Tzmirta. Rashi says this is, you just read Rashi inside, third line at the top. Even Sheva Makom Katanim. Sounds like kidney stones, right? Something along those lines. And the 7 years were Sparna, which is something in the mouth. Again, I imagine unbelievably painful. But Amrila Shiva B'tzmirta, Shis B'tzparna, maybe it was 7 years with the Tzmirta and 6 years with the Sporna, whatever it was. 13 years, a very difficult Yisurim. So Rebbe, we know, was unbelievably wealthy, incredibly wealthy, and that might be one of the reasons why he was the one who was Masada of the Mishnayos. He had the capability to do something like that, to take on such a project. So Ahurai Debe Rebbe, the Ahurai means the person that was in charge of the horses. So his stableman, right, of Rebbe, Hava Asir Mishmor Malcha. It's from the manure of these horses. He was so wealthy, he was even wealthier than the king of Persia. Again, presumably this is maybe an exaggeration, but the point is that's how wealthy Rebbe was, that his stableman was this wealthy. But the point is, Kad Hava Rami Kista Lechyusa Hava Azal Kala Betlasa Mili. And they had so many animals that I guess whenever you fed these animals, they made a tremendous amount of noise. But the point is, Hayim Chavin Durami Ba He Shaita the Ayal Rebbe the basic he was trying to be sensitive to Rebbe. The Gemara is trying to show how painful Rebbe's Yisurim were. That I guess whenever Rebbe had to go to the bathroom, he had these kidney stones, whatever it was. So it was very painful, and he made a lot of noise. And this stableman tried to be sensitive. He would feed his animals when he knew that Rebbe was in the bathroom to drown out the screaming of Rebbe. Notwithstanding the fact that they tried to time this so that when Rebbe was going to the bathroom, the animals were being fed and there would be a lot of noise, still you were able to hear Rebbe's moaning or screaming or whatever it was, even out at sea. So again, this is all a way of basically saying that Rebbe's Yisurim were very, very difficult. But Vafilu Hachi, notwithstanding all of this, Yisurim Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimon, Adife Mid Rebbe, the Yisurim that Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimon took upon himself were greater or more adif than Rebbe. The Ilu Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimon.
Right?
What do you mean?
They said that they took them this Yisrael upon themselves. Rebbe is Yisrael and wanted to take it upon himself. Yeah.
Well, I think after the story the Gemara is actually going to get into this, but I think after the story with Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimon's wife, it sounded like maybe Rebbe did try to, maybe something along those lines.
He prayed for Yisurim.
But again, the Gemara is actually going to say kind of like what you're saying. But the Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimon, he was able to kind of bring them on himself in the evening, and he was able to get them removed in the morning because again, he had to go learn. But to Rebbe, I guess even though it sounds like from the Gemara earlier that Rebbe accepted them upon himself, but they also did come from a Maisa, and they also left because of a Maisa. So what is this Maisa that resulted in Rebbe getting the Yisurim in the first place? This is interesting. There was a calf that was set to be slaughtered. So maybe Rebbe was in the slaughterhouse. I don't exactly know. But an Egel, and Azal Talia L'Reishe Bekanpe Rebbe. This Egel knew what was going on, came over to Rebbe, and the Kabachi was crying. And Aberle, Rebbe didn't have a lot of compassion for this Egel, and he said, Zil, Lakach, Nitzarta. I mean, this is your confident life. What? So Amri, because they said in Shemayim, Hol v'lo ka merachim, let's do Allah Yisurim, because he wasn't merachim on this Egel. Let's bring upon this 13 years of kidney stone, whatever, above my pay grade. But either way, that was the Maisa that brought upon these Yisurim. Aide Maisa halchu, and because of a Maisa, Rebbe was healed because Yom Echad Havaka Kansa. Amse to Rebbe's housekeeper, she was cleaning up the house, she was cleaning up the Besa, and Havashadya Bitnei Karkushta. It seemed like there were these young weasels or some sort of rodent. And she was trying to get them out of the house. So Amar La, Shavkinu, leave them alone. Like, well, they're not hurting anybody, right? Leave them be. So Amru, again, he said in Shemayim, Hol, Merachim, Merachim Aleh, let's remove these Isurim. And Kulu Shnei Yisorei Rav Elazar, all of the years of the Yisurim of Rav Elazar Rav Shimon, Lo Shachav Inish V'lo Zmane. It was like a good thing for the world as a whole. Nobody died before their time because of the fact that, or I don't know, because of the fact, but while Rav Elazar Rav Shimon had these Yisurim, and Kule Shnei Yisorei the Rebbe, similarly, all of these 13 years of Rebbe, Lo Itzrich Alma Lemitra, the world did not need rain. The Amar Rabba Bar Rab Shila Kashti Yoma Dimitra Yoma Dedina. It's fascinating. Of course, rain is a good thing, right? We need rain, but the point is it's also very inconvenient, right? So just like on the days of court, so on Mondays and Thursdays, where I guess people would come onto these, people from the smaller cities would come to the bigger cities. We need a court system. Right? This is something that we need, but there was a lot of traffic those days. It was a little annoying. So too, as much as we need the rain, it's also annoying, right? In Chicago, we don't need rain like other locales because we have the Great Lakes and we have a water source. So when it rains, it just messes up your commute, right? It's just like annoying. So it's kind of the same idea. As much as we need rain, it's annoying. And the Amar Amemar Ilav Sarech La Alma, if not for the fact that we need rain in the world, our rabbis would daven that we shouldn't have rain. But the point is, there wasn't rain when Rebbe was taking on these Yisurim, but when he would pull a radish out of the ground, the point is, there was still nourishment. It was magically, without the rain, the world had, was affected as if there was the rain. So it was like a good thing. We didn't have the annoyance of the rain, yet the world was able to continue as if we had the rain. Okay.
It only means that it didn't rain at an inconvenient time and rained at night.
Could be. Fair.
Yeah, but that could still be annoying. They used to go to the bathroom without
Either way. No, good point. Ikla Rebbe la'asrei Rav Elazar of Shimon. Rebbe comes to the town of Rav Elazar of Shimon after he dies, and Amar le yesh lo ben lo oso tzaddik. Did this tzaddik Rav Elazar of Shimon? So remember, this is the son of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, right? This is Rav Elazar of Shimon. Did he have a son? So Amar lo yesh lo ben. He does in fact have a son. V'chol zona sheneskeres b'shnayim, and every zona who normally her fee is 2, so karto b'shmona. This zona would, to have an evening with him, would pay 8, meaning that's how handsome he was, that's how whatever he was. But the point is, he also clearly wasn't a tzaddik if he was hanging out in the crew. I don't know, he's hanging out with the crew that's hiring Zona. So the point is, he was not very from. So Asiyeh, Bishmona Asiyeh. This is the son of Rabbi Elazar Rav Shimon. This is Rav Shimon Bar Yochai's grandson. So Asmechei Rebbe found him and tried to give him smicha, whatever it is, and tried to be mekarev him. But Ashlamel Rav Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya, he set him up a chavrusa with Rav Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya, who was Achos the Ime, who happened to be this child's uncle. So presumably it was Rav Shimon ben Elazar's wife's brother. Kol Yoma Hava Amar leKraise Ana Ezel. So this kid presumably was like, I have no interest in this, right? Like, I want to go home. And Amar le Chakim Abdu Yasach. They're trying to make you into a chacham. The Gulsif to have a parsul left. They're trying to give you the golden cape. The Rebbe Karalach. They want to call you a Rebbe. The Atamar leKraise Ana Ezel. And you want to give this all up, and you just want to go home and chase your zonas or whatever. So Amar le Mumi. So he realized that this Rebbe was correct, and he said, Mumi, which is I think a lashon shvua, a zuvada. I'm leaving that life behind, and I'm going to become a rabbi. And Kigadol, when he grew up, Asa Yasif Masifted Rebbe, he came to the yeshiva of Rebbe, Shammai Lakala, and Rebbe heard this voice, and Amar Hakala, Dami Lakala, Rav Elazar Rav Shimon. It's familiar to me. This sounds like Rav Elazar Rav Shimon. Amar Le, Berehu, it is in fact his son. And Karu Ale, and they read the pasuk in Mishlei, Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim, Lokech Nefashos Chacham. Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim, to someone who's the fruit of a tzaddik from a Eitz Chaim, right? Is that Rav Yossi? This child's name is Yossi. So is there Rav Yossi, Rav Elazar, Rav Shimon? It's Rav Yossi, the son of Rav Elazar, Rav Shimon. Lokech nefashos chacham, and the end of that pasuk Zer, Rav Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya, this was the uncle who was the Rebbe. Hinach nafshe, when this child is not a child anymore, when Rav Yossi, Rav Elazar, Rav Shimon, when he died, Amtuhu lemarata ta'avua, they took him to the ma'ara of his father. If this sounds familiar, we had a very similar Gemara yesterday. And Haba, so where is this? This is Meron. This is where Rav Shimon Bar Yochai is buried.
Right.
So Haba Hadrule Achna lemarta, there was a serpent that was on the ma'ara, and Amrle Achna ptach picha v'yikanes ben eitzel avu. Open sesame, so we can bring the child to his father and grandfather. But lo pasvalu. But this time it didn't open up. Goes kislurim ha'am lomar shezeh gadol mizeh. So they thought, well, it makes sense because this Rabbi Yossi is probably not as great as his father, Rabbi Elazar. But yas sabaskol va'amar lo mipnei shezeh gadol mizeh. Ella zeh haya b'tzar ma'ara, zeh lo haya b'tzar ma'ara. So Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon joined in the tsar of the ma'ara with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai for 13 years in the story of Sfira and Lag BaOmer and all that kind of stuff, and that's why he was zocha to whatever. So I was listening to a shir on this, and he mentioned something very interesting. He said this year, right? It's obviously it's wild. The last few days we've been doing these sugyas of, these Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai,
Again.
right? But what's interesting is this year no one's able to go to Meron, so it's like wild that tens of thousands of people are at least learning about the sugyas of Meron in this week. All right, very good. Either way, Ikla Rebbe, La'asre, Rav Tarfon, a very similar story. Rebbe came to the town of Rav Tarfon, and Amr Lahu, this must be after Rav Tarfon was nifter, and Amr Lahu, Yeshlo ben, La'oso Tzarek Shayim Mekapech Hispanav. What did Rav Tarfon have a son? Rav Tarfon is famous throughout Shas. He would always use a similar lashon. He would say, Akapech Hispanai, Imlo, whatever. Meaning he was so confident about whatever it is, he would almost put a curse on his child if whatever he's about to say wasn't true. So he said, like, by the way, did he actually have any sons? That this was always something that he used to say. Armulo ben Einlo, he actually did not have a son, but Ben Bas Yeshua, he had a daughter and he had a grandson. Same thing. B'chozonash and Eskeres, B'shnayim, Socher To B'shmon. Again, it's a way of saying he's, not necessarily a Ben Torah. So as you Kamei, so he brought him in, and Amrle, Yehajas Bach, your Choser B'tshuva, Yavinulach Bartai, I'll give you my daughter in marriage. And Hadarbe said, fine. Nikadamri Nazba Girsha, some of the Girsha that he did marry her, but then they ultimately got divorced. Nikadamri Lo Nasba Klal, they never got married. He just didn't want anyone to think that I was only Choser B'tshuva so that I can marry her, but they never ended up getting married. Why was Rebbe so interested in being Makari with these people? The Amr of Yidomara, the Amr la Amr of Chiya bar Abba, Amr of Yochanan, Amr la Amr of Shmuel bar Nachmeni, Amr of Yonasan. So again, veering Masoras of exactly where this comes from. But the klal is Kalam Alamin is Ben Chavero Torah. Whoever teaches your friend's son Torah, Zocha v'Yoshev v'Yeshiva Shamayla. Shenemar is a pasuk in Yirmiyahu Im Tashu v'Yeshiva Chalefanai Talmud. And it says v'Cholam Alamin is Ben Ama Aretz Torah. Filo Kadosh Baruch Hu goes Gzera v'Batla b'Shul. Even if there's Gzera, Hashem might be Mevatel the Gzera. Shenemar V'Im Totzi Yakar Mezulol Ipitia. Okay. Amr of Parnach, Amr of Yochanan, Kol Shehu Talmud Chacham, Ubeno Talmud Chacham, Uben Beno Talmud Chacham. So it's 3 generations of Talmidei Chachamim. Shuv Ein Torah Posekas Mizaro LaOlam. Torah will never leave from that family. Shnemar, we say this in Tzion, right? But it's actually psukim in Yeshayahu. Vani Zos Brisiyosam Mar Shem Ruchi Sharlecha Dvaray Shashamti V'Picha Lo Yemushu Mipicha Umipizaracha Umipizarazaracha. Amar Hashem Me'atav Yad Olam. My Amar Hashem, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ani Arev L'Chabadavar Zeh. I am like a guarantor on this. That the Lo Yamash Torah Mipicha Ad Olam, right? My Me'atav Yad Olam. So Amar Yirmiyah Mikan Ve'elach Torah Machseres Alachsan Yishalach. If you have this 3 generations, then even if future generations, and maybe there's some issue, whatever it is, it doesn't. Not every single person, but it will always come back, right? You've got this unbreakable bond. If Yosef Yisiv Arbain Tainisa, Rav Yosef sat in 40 days of fast, Bakriu, and they read about that, Lo Yamash Mipicha. Yasiv Arbain Tainisa Achrini did another 40 fast, Bakriu, Lo Yamashu Mipicha, Umipizaracha. So now not only is it Mipicha, but it's even your children's mouths. Yasiv Meya Tainisa Achrini did another 100 fasts, so it's 180 total. And Asav Akriu, Lo Yamushu Mipicha, Umipizaracha, Umipizarazaracha. And Amar Rav Yosef said, "Mikan ve'elach lo tzarichna." I don't need to fast anymore because Torah machzachas Torah machzeres al achsan yeshalom, because of this idea that now I know that Torah is never going to, leave my family. Reb Zera, so Reb Zera was one of the few Amoraim that we know throughout Shas. He was leaving Bavel, coming up to Eretz Yisrael to learn by Reb Yochanan, and he would bring some of that Torah back to Bavel. So Reb Zera, Kiselak la'arad Yisrael, when he made this voyage up to Eretz Yisrael, Yasif Meya Ta'inisa, he sat and fast 100 days. Delishtikach Gemara Bavla Mine. You have to understand what this means. But I guess there's a different style of learning in Bavel and Eretz Yisrael, and he didn't want to Chas Shalom forget the Torah they learned in Bavel, but he didn't want that to impact the Torah that he was going to learn in Eretz Yisrael. So he fasted so that his Bavel Torah shouldn't impact his Eretz Yisrael Torah. So Yasef Me'ach, and he saw then he sat another 100 fast. Below Lishko Reb Elazar B'Shnei V'Naflin Iluye Mila Tibur. I guess Reb Zera and Reb Elazar were the two Dolei Hadar in Bavel, and he said, while I'm up in Eretz Yisrael, the last thing I need is Reb Elazar to pass away, and then all of these communal matters can now fall on my shoulders. So he fasted another 100 fasts so that Reb Elazar should be well. Yasef Me'ach Acharini, and then another 100 fasts. This is 300 in total. Below Nishlot Ba Nura de Gehenna, so that the fires of Gehenna shouldn't be sholate on him. I have absolutely no idea what these next two lines mean, but we're just going to read them. Call plus and Yomin every 30 days, which the art scroll says that's when Gehenna turns over. Have a badik nafshe. He would check himself to make sure the fires of Gehenna still can't be sholate over him. Shagar tanura. He would turn on the ovens and solak the yasef begai. He would sit in these ovens. Below have a shalta banura, and he wasn't impacted. Yom Echad, Yavu Berabanan Ina. The Rabbanan gave him some sort of ayin hara of sorts. They looked at him, I don't know exactly. And then when he sat in the ovens, he did start to feel, his thighs were singed or whatever. And they called Reb Zera the short one with the singed thighs. Rashi says he happened to be short. But again, I'm not even going to try. I don't know what these last few lines mean, but that's what the words mean. Amar Vid Amarav. My dichsiv, these are psukim in Yirmiyahu. My dichsiv, mi isha chacham, v'yavin esos, asher diber pi Hashem elav, yagidu al ma'av haaretz. Why did we lose the Aretz? Well, why did we lose the base of Mikdash? Why were we kicked out of Eretz Yisrael? Davar zeh, from the page, Davar zeh, amru chachamim, below pershu. The chachamim couldn't explain. Amru neviim below pershu. Asher pirshu HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmo shenemar, v'yomer Hashem, this is the next pasuk, v'yomer Hashem al azvam es torasi, asher nasati lifneim. The reason why we were ultimately removed from Eretz Yisrael and lost the base of Mikdash is because we forsaked the Torah. Amar Ravina Marav Baruchu b'Torah Tchila, because I guess they didn't properly say Birchas Torah. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to say Birchas Torah like very early in the morning, and it's like davening's not my strength. Birchas Torah is like really not my strength. So hopefully, Meretz Hashem, try to do a little bit better. But we lost the base of Mikdash because we didn't properly do Birchas Torah. Amar Rav Chama, my dechsiv. Belev navon tenuach chachma uvekarev ksilim tivada. So this is a pasuk in Mishlei, and it sounds like it's saying the people who are smart, you don't necessarily hear about it. Like they keep it quiet. The people who aren't as smart, they let you know whatever they do know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So belev navon tenuach chachma zet talmid chacham ben talmid chacham. The people who know they're smart, who have it in their family, they're the ones that are a little bit quieter about it. Uvekarev ksilim tivada zet talmid chacham ben ama aretz. Amar Ula Hainid Amar Inchi Aspira Belagiga Kish Karya. If you have a coin or a few coins in a big jar and you swish it around, you're going to hear a lot of noise. If you have a jar full of coins, you're not going to hear the same noise. Same idea. Amar Le Rabbi Yirmiyah Le Rav Zera My Dechsiv Katon V'Gadol Shamu Be'Eved Chafshi Me'Aronav. What is this pasuk saying that in the grave they're going to have a katon or a gadol? It doesn't really matter in the grave, right? Or if you were an eved, you're going to be free. Don't we know that there's katan and gadol in the grave? So Ella kol hamaktin atmo divrei Torah. If you humble yourself to divrei Torah, b'olam hazeh nasa gadol le'olam haba. V'chol hamasim atmo ke'eved al divrei Torah b'olam hazeh. And anyone who makes himself like an eved b'olam hazeh nasa chafshi le'olam haba. And from here to the end of the daf, for the most part, we are going to learn about the greatness of Rav Chia. So who is Rav Chia? Rav Chia was. He was the Talmud of Rebbe. He was really right at the end of that Tanite period. He worked very closely with Rebbe to be Masada with the Mishnayos. So he's like the Bucky in all the Brisas and the Toseftas. He also was Rav and Rav Yochanan's Rebbe. So he was really one of the greatest, really on that bridge of the Amoraim and the Tanaim. So that's who Rav Chia was. Reish Lakish have a Mitzayin, Ma'arta Zerabanan. Reish Lakish was trying to mark up the Ma'aras of the Rabbanan. Rashi says to help the Kohanim out so they could know where to walk. And Kimata Lamarte de Rav Chia, when he came to the Ma'ar of Rav Chia, Alma Mine. Somehow it was hidden from him. He wasn't able to find the Ma'ara of Rav Chia. I guess he knew where it was. So Chalash Daite, he had a Chalish Sadas. Like, why are you hiding the Ma'ara of Rav Chia from me? So Amar, Rabbanu Shalom, Pilpul Palti Torah Kamoso. Did I not have Pilpul in my Torah? Did I not learn just like Rav Chia? Like, what are you doing? Why are you hiding his Ma'ara from me? Yatzis the Baskal, Amra Lo, Torah Kamoso Palta. You absolutely learned like Rav Chia. The Torah Kamoso Lo Ribatzta. But you didn't have the same Marbitz Torah that Rav Chia had, which we're going to see about in a minute. Kavumansi Rav Chanina Rav Chia, when Rav Chanina and Rav Chia were arguing and learning, Amar Le Rav Chanina Rav Chia, Rav Chanina would say to Rav Chia, Bahadi convinces you're fighting with me? Chas v'shalom imishtak Torah mi Yisrael. If the Torah would ever be forgotten from Yisrael, Mahadarna la mipulpule. From my shiurim, I would revive all of learning, right? Amar Le Rav Chia, Rav Chanina, Rav Chia answered Rav Chanina. He said, "Bahadi convinces you're fighting with me? I don't need your hypotheticals. I'm literally working to make sure that Torah will not be forgotten in Eretz Yisrael or in Yisrael. Maya vidna, what would I do? Azilna v'shadina kisna, I would grow flax. Bigadilna nishbi v'tzaydin tabi, and I would use the flax that I grew to bait these nets, and I would catch these deers. My chilin b'srayel yasmes, I would use the meat of the deers to feed the yisomim. Barichna megillah, that I would take the skins and I would make a megillah. The kasavna chamisha chumshei. I guess he was a scribe, and he would then write the Torah. Uflikna lamasa, and I would go to these towns. Umakrina chamisha yenuki, and I would find these children, and I would teach these children the chamisha chumshei, the Torah. I would, find 5 children, teach them the Torah. Umasnina shita yenuki shita fidre, and I would teach the children the Mishnayos. V'amarna luhu adardarna basina. I'm going to go to the next town, do the same thing over again. Akru adadi va'asnu adadi va'avnu l'Torah l'tishtakach mi Yisrael. And the point is, I was teaching all of these children throughout all these villages Torah and Mishnayos, and that's how I am. I don't need your hypotheticals. I'm literally making sure that Torah is not forgotten in Yisrael. And that's why I guess this is an illustration that he was a Marbitz Torah. So not only was he a pilpul like Rish Lakish, but he was also a Marbitz Torah. He would teach Torah, and he would make sure that Torah was not forgotten. Hainu da Amri Rebbe, and this is like what Rebbe used to say, again, about his close colleague or Talmud of Chia, Kama Gedolim Ma'aseh Chia. How great is Chia? Amar le Rav Yishmael Rav Yossi, Rav Yishmael Rav Yossi would say to Rebbe, remember from yesterday's talk, they were kind of colleagues. He said, Afilu mimar, is Chia even greater than you? I'm really in. Certainly is greater than me. Afilu me Abba is even greater than my father. So who was his father? His father was Rabbi Yossi. The Tana Rabbi Yossi. Amar le Chas Yisrael, lo te'ekazos Yisrael. He was not as great as your father. So Rabbi Yossi throughout Shas, and we always paskin like Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara says he had Yimuko Imo, he was a great Rebbe, he was a great this. So the point is, Rabbi Yossi was one of the great Tanaim. He said, Rabbi Chia maybe he's greater than me, but I will never say that he's greater than your father, the great Rabbi Yossi. So Amar Reb Zera, who just 10 minutes ago was fasting 300 fasts on his way from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. So Reb Zera said, Emesh nira li Reb Yossi Reb Chanina. I saw, I guess, in a dream, Reb Yossi Reb Chanina, and Amarti lo Eitzel mi'at takua. When you're up in Shemaim, like who in Beis Medrash Shamayla, like who are you sitting next? Who's the stender over? So Amar li Eitzel Reb Yochanan. I am next to Reb Yochanan. Reb Yochanan Eitzel me Eitzel Reb Yana. Reb Yana Eitzel me Eitzel Reb Chanina. Reb Chanina Eitzel me Eitzel Reb Chia. So Reb Yochanan's a bunch of stenders over from Reb Chia. Now remember, Reb Zera he left Babel to learn by Reb Yochanan. So you obviously had a tremendous amount of respect for Reb Yochanan. So Marti lo, Reb Yochanan Eitzel Reb Chia lo. Like why is Reb Yochanan not next to Reb Chia? Like why are there so many people in between? So Amar li, and again, these are things that I certainly don't understand. Ba'asar there's a kukin, denura, be'ura, and usha, in places where there's lightning and flashes of fire. Man ma'ayel bar nafcha letaman. You think that the bar nafcha, can be right next to him. So Rabbi Yochanan's father was a blacksmith, so I've been referring to him as bar nafcha. Again, I don't know how we're ranking all these various rabbanan, but maybe it's something along the lines of Rabbi Yochanan wasn't a son of a major Talmud Chacham. He was only the son of a blacksmith, whereas maybe some of these other people were, like we saw earlier in the Daf, Talmidei Chachamim, Ben Noshel, Talmidei Chachamim. I don't know, but the point is that's what the Gemara says. Amar Rav Chaviva, Ishtai li Rav Chaviva bar Sumaki. Rav Chaviva said, I saw in a dream Rav Chaviva bar Sumaki, and Chazilei Umar Rabbanan Davashchiach Elio Kabei. There was a certain Rav it was pretty common that he would have Elio, a Navi, hanging out with him. And the Letzafra in the morning, Havu Shapiran Ene, his eyes looked fine. But Ulu Urta, but in the evening, Damian Kidim Mekilin Benura. His eyes looked like they had been struck by fire. So Amri Lay, so I said to him, my hi, like, what's going on with you? What happened to your eyes? So the Amr Li, when he responded to me, he said, Amri Lila, Leo, I asked Leo Anavi, I said, show me the Rabbanon that are sitting in the Masifta Durakia, and Amr Lay, Bekulu, Masislas Bekulabu, you can look at every single one. Labar, Megwaharka Rabchia. Do not look at the throne of Rabchia. Blow the Stakobe. Don't look at that one. So I said, I mean, what does he look like? How do I know what to look for? So Bakulu, Azli, Malachi, Kisliku Benachti, all of the various thrones, you have malachim that are helping the people go up and down. The bar, Meguharka, Drabchia, the Menafshe Salak, the Nafas, except for Rabchia, which goes up and down automatically. So if anyone tells you not to look at something, it's kind of like the first thing you do is you kind of look at it, right? So Lo Mati Lo Ukme. So Lo Mati Lo Ukme Anafshai, and it's the Kaliba. So I looked. What am I going to do? And Asi Trey Butchi the Nara and 2 bolts of whatever came, fire Umachiu Lahu Gavra and Simonu Leini, and it blinded me. So it was not good to look. Lamacher, he should have had those like solar glasses things, right? That they. Either way, Lamacher, the next day, Azli Ishtatri Amarte, I went over to the Ma'ara Arachia, and Amina Masnaisa, the Mara Masnaisa. And I said to Rachia, I said, listen, I learned all of your brises, learned all of your Toseftas. Do me a favor here, try to heal me. And he did, in fact, heal me. It's kind of fascinating. We're going to see another story that Eliyahu Hanavi was kind of like hanging out with these various people. So Eliyahu Avishchich, when Masifta to Rebbe, Eliyahu Hanavi would come to the Masifta of Rebbe. I was thinking this morning when I was looking at this, so often throughout Shas it says Teku, right? Tishnu Yitaris Kushas Rabbayis. Why didn't they just like ask him these questions? Right? They're apparently by him all the time. Like, why don't they just ask him? I don't know. But either way. So Eliyahu Hanavi would come to the Masifta of Rebbe, and Yom Echad, Reish Yaragav, one day it was Shoresh, and Nagale, and he was late, which is obviously relatable, right? Davening's longer, and he was late. Below Asa. So Amarle, my time Naga Le Lamar. So Rebbe is talking to Eliyahu Hanavi, and he's saying, why were you late today? So Amarle, Adu Kimna La Abram, I had to wake up Abram Avinu, Umishane Yada, I had to wash his hands, Umatla, then I had to daven, Umaginile, then I had to put him back, to the grave, to sleep. I had to do it for Yitzchak, I had to do it for Yaakov. So it just took me some time. So Rebbe responded, look, Minu Bahad Yadadi, just let's be more efficient. Just wake them all up at the same time, right? Savri, so he said, no, I can't do that. Because Savri Takipe Barachame, if they all daven at the same time, it's going to be such a powerful Rosham on the world. The Mashiach is going to come before he's supposed to. So I can't wake them all up at the same time. They all have to daven separately. Amrle, so Rebbe said, are there people that can daven like that? Amrle, Ika Rebchia Ubana. Rebchia and his children are like this. They're on like that level of their tefillah. So Gaza Rebbe Tanisa. So there was a time where Rebbe once was Gozer Tainus, and Rebchia Ubana, and he had Rebchia and his children lead the services. Amar, they said, Mashiv Ruach Mordechai, right? They said Mashiv Aruach B'nashpa Zika. Sure enough, the wind stopped, right? Amar Morid Geshem, Asra Mitra. They said Morid Geshem, and the rain came. So Kimat Olim or Mechayim Esim, all of a sudden they're about to say Mechayim Esim, and that would have been a problem, right? If everything they say comes true. So Ragash Alma and Amri Barakia, Man Gali Razia Ba'alma. So they said in Shalem, who is telling Rechia our secrets? How does he know to have such a powerful tefillah? Amri Elio. It's Elio's who's sharing our secrets. Plus Yul, Elio, they gave him like Malchus, Mechiu, Shisin, Polsi, Dinora, 60 fire, Malchus, I don't know exactly, whatever. It means Asya Idmilu Kaduba Dinora. So Elio now came down to earth looking like a fiery bear. All Benayu, Vitrinu, he came, and that obviously created a bit of a distraction, and that distracted the tefillah, and I guess that stopped the Tchias HaMesim. Last Gemara, Shmuel Yarchana. Shmuel Yarchana, Rashi says this is literally Shmuel, as in Shmuel and Rob and Shmuel, that Shmuel. He was known as Shmuel Yarchana, Asiye de Rebbe Hava. He was a doctor, and he was Rebbe's doctor. So Chalash, Rebbe had some sort of illness in his eye. Amarle, Shmuel said, Imle lach tama, I'll give you some sort of ointment that you can put on your eye. Amarle lo yechona, do not touch my eyes, absolutely not. So do not put any sort of ointments on my eyes. Asherle mishater. So I'll give you a different way of applying this thing. Amarle lo yechona, absolutely not. We're not doing this. So most of but gufsa desamne tosi besadia. He put some tube with this medication underneath his pillow. Vitzi. Somehow that was able to give him a refuah, whatever it was. So Kahava comments, Steyr Rebbe lemismechei. Rebbe tried to give smicha to Shmuel, which in those days was a much bigger deal. You had to have a bunch of rabbis. Nowadays, it's not like just one rough can give smicha. It was a process. And Velohav the Steyr Milsa just was never able. Rashi says they were just never able. The timing never worked. They were never able to get the Amim gathered. He could never give Shmuel smicha. Amar lei, Shmuel said back to Rebbe, Lo Litzdair Mar, V'di Chazili Sifra the Adam Rishon. I actually once saw the Sefer of Adam Rishon, Ksiv Bey, and in it says, Shmuel Yarchana Chakim Yiskare. They're going to call him a Chacham, but the Rebbe Lo Yiskare. They're not going to call him Rebbe. But Asu the Rebbe, Yado, and he's going to heal Rebbe. Rebbe will be healed on his hands. We're on Pevav Amid Aleph. And so then the Gemara just ends. Tehei Rebbe, B'Rav Nasan. So Mishnah Rebbe. This is also something that was he thought in the Sefer of Adam Rishon. And Rebbe and Rav Nasan are going to be the Sof Mishnah. Rav Ashi, Ravina, so-called Ra, and Rav Ashi and Ravina are going to be the so-called Ra. They are the ones who compiled the Gemara. The Simanech, and as a simon for this, the pasuk in Tehillim Ad Avo Al Mikdashi Kel Avina La'acharisam. So the simon is that Mikdashi is like Rav Ashi, Kel Avina is like Ravina, and La'acharisam that's at the end. So Ravina and Rav Ashi are at the end of the Amoraim period. Shkayach, we'll pick it up from here tomorrow.